How to get people to pay you anywhere between $1, $2, $3, $10, $20, $30,000 on the internet. That's what I'm about to learn in this video. For those of you who don't know, my name is Bruno. For the past 3 years, I have sold services, products, softwares, whatever you name it, online. So the first thing you have to realize when you're trying to sell anything to anybody is to understand why people buy. Why do people buy anything? It's a very obvious answer. People buy things because they want it. It's as simple as that. But as simple as this is, it is fundamental. People buy things because they want it. And people want different things. But fundamentally, we can say that human desires is based on two things. Number one is people desire things because they want to go away from pain. So people buy things to move away from pain, or they buy things because they want to achieve a desired result. So think about this like a continuum, right? People buy because they want to move in a different direction. Either they're moving away from pain or they're moving from the desired result. That is fundamentally why people buy, because they want it. If you understand this, you will begin to understand how you can get people to buy what it is you sell, whatever it is you sell, services, products, I don't care, software. If you understand that people buy because they want it, then you start asking yourself, why would anybody want what I have? What are you offering? So I'll take an example. Let's say you offer photography, video services like this. Why would somebody pay you money for you to come and record them and all of that? It's simple. They would want to do that because there's something they want out of that. There's something they hope to get out of that. Think about this. Why do people buy food? People buy food because they don't want to feel hungry or they don't want to feel bored. So they are moving away from being hungry to being bored. So food becomes the vehicle to go from where they are bored to where they are no longer bored, where they are hungry to where they are no longer hungry. So you need to ask yourself, what does what I sell, what does what I offer, what does it take people from towards? The second reason why somebody will pay you thousands of dollars for your service is very obvious. They trust you. They trust that they can get the results from your service. They trust you, the salesperson. They trust the company the salesperson works with. They trust the company that you represent. They trust you. But here's the thing about trust. Trust, like everything, is not binary. Trust exists on a continuum, meaning it's not just do they trust you, but how much do they trust you, right? You could trust somebody with your money, but you might not trust them with your life. And you can trust somebody with your life, but you might not trust them with your wife, right? These are different continuums in where you can trust someone. So when you think about trust, don't say, oh, do they trust me or they don't trust me? It's how well do they trust me? And these are things you get to discover on the sales call. And you can watch that in one of the videos I've created where I talk about how to properly run a sales call and to get people to trust you. But get this straight. People buy first because they want it. Number two is because they trust you that they can get the results from you. They trust the words that are coming out from your mouth. They trust the fact that they can get the results that your offer, your product, your service is promising. So the question you ask is, how do people trust, especially now that we live in a digital age? What are the things, I like to call them symbols of trust, all right? You might call them status symbols, but whether we call them status symbols or not, these symbols or these elements or these emblems are things that people look out for that signal you or your company as trustworthy. Now, what are some of these things? I have some written down, so I'll just basically read from my notes, right? So number one is, what makes a company have a good reputation? What makes you have a good reputation among people, or especially when you're dealing with people online? As crazy as it sounds, but people judge you and how trustworthy you are by the number of followers you have. How many people follow you on social media? There's something called social proof, right? And when it comes to, if you read some books on psychology, social proof basically means that people look to other people, all right, as shortcuts to judgment. It's called biases and heuristics when they want to make certain decisions. So people are likely to judge you as being trustworthy if you have a lot of people that follow you. Because they would assume that if a lot of people follow you, then there's something that makes a lot of people follow you. People won't just follow you if you had nothing. And so that's one very simple but interesting tool that you can use. If you are able to build your social media to the point where a lot of people are following you, right? You can appear to be more trustworthy than somebody who doesn't. It doesn't mean that if you don't build your social media, nobody's going to buy from you. It's just going to make it harder. And remember, we're trying to make things easier for us, right? So that's number one. Number two is your engagement on social media. Now, for those people who use social media a lot, you probably have seen that when you go to some pages, right? The pages are dead. They have a lot of followers, but literally nobody engages them. Maybe 1 like, 2 likes, and they have like 100,000 followers. At that point, you begin to wonder that, did this person buy the followers? Or their engagements don't even relate to what the person is posting. You get concerned, and then you are able to you're able to get the feeling that this thing is not as it is, right? This person has a lot of followers, but the engagement is poor. Now, it could be for different reasons. The person could be shadow banned, right? But all things being equal, if you have a lot of engagement on your page, or social media page, your online activities, you will be more trustworthy than somebody who doesn't. So that's one of the things that people also look out for. Number three is subscribers and YouTube content. And that's why I'll say that if you're enjoying this, please click the subscribe button, like, because things like this actually gets this video to be, seen by a lot of people. So how many subscribers you have, how many, followers you have, again, they're kind of similar terms, but this is just strictly YouTube. How many subscribers you have. If you have a lot of subscribers on YouTube, people will naturally just trust you. It's, again, you think about if you see somebody that has 4 subscribers and somebody that has 10,000 subscribers, you just naturally believe that the person who has 10,000 subscribers has some sort of online authority. And authority will precede trust. When people have an authority figure, the very fact that that person is an authority figure means that on some level, they will trust that person. Number 4 is third-party reviews. So this is like websites where things like, what's it called now? Glassdoor reviews, anything that they can Google and see what other people have said about you. The more of that you have that are positive, the easier it is for someone to trust you. Right? It's as simple as that. More reviews online, third-party reviews, all of this, LinkedIn comment, all of these things, LinkedIn reviews, all these things are things that help you appear more trustworthy. So I'm hoping that these things is opening your eye to what you need to do to create a perception of trustworthiness within your customers and your future customers. And number 4 is video testimonials or recommendations. Video testimonials. Video testimonials is like is the closest thing to word of mouth, right? It's called what I remember. What's his name now? This Seth Godin calls it the word of mouse. Right, when people literally talk about your product or service because they've experienced it. And if somebody gets on video to talk about your product and service, then that is them literally saying that they really had a good experience with it. Anybody who has had a bad experience will not come on social media to speak good about your products or service. More likely than not, right? Nobody's going to do that. So the only reason somebody will come on video to talk about your products or service is either you're really bad and they were really upset, or they really had a good time. So the more of video reviews, video testimonials you have, the more trustworthy you will be, the more likely it is that somebody is going to pay you. Number 3. Now, before I tell you number 3, it's going to sound very similar to number 1. Remember I said we buy because we want it, right? So I'm going to flip it on its head and say people buy because they want it, but want it really bad. What do I mean by that? It's called either urgent pain or strong desire. And I like to tell my coaching clients, people that I work with one-on-one who want to get better at sales, who want to, maybe they want me to review their sales call, their sales process, and tell them what they can do to improve. One of the things I tell them is that usually when you get on sales calls, you might not be able to find somebody in pain, right? Meaning that they might not be like, oh my God, if I don't do this, I'm going to crash and burn, my life is going to end. You might not even sell something that might have an associated strong pain, all right, or burning pain, but you might sell something that has desire. There's a book I read that just explains this beautifully. It says, wanting something, right? Within that definition of wanting something is two definitions. Number one is desire for that thing, but that also implies lack. So if we are able to find desire, then we're able to obviously find lack. And because there is lack, that means there's a space created which would lead to some sort of pain. Now, again, I'll dive this into deeper videos, but if you want me to explain this, just comment in the section. I'll go deeper into what this means. But understand that you need to be sure that the person has urgent pain or strong desire. And that's why even in startup world, they'll tell you that if you're building a product, you want to build a product that is a painkiller, not a vitamin. A vitamin is something that is nice to have. A painkiller is something that literally, if you don't solve it, you'll be very uncomfortable. So this should lead you to ask a question and say, what I sell, what I offer, how can I position it in such a way that it's a painkiller, not a vitamin? Something that has strong desire, not just something that people would like to have, but people really want to have. How can you position it? And we're going to talk about positioning in other videos and all of that, but for now, I want you to think about what you're selling. Because remember, the goal here is to get people to pay you $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $10,000, $30,000 online easily. And that means that what you sell has to be something that solves them from an urgent burning pain or helps them achieve something they strongly desire. Now, that's number 3. So let's talk about the 4th thing. This one is actually one of the most interesting ones, and it might be a bit difficult to either explain or to even accomplish. But people will buy from you when they have no better alternative. I'll give you a very interesting example. So as I'm recording this video, I have 2 amazing people who are, managing it for me. Here's what's interesting, Star. I literally could have used my phone, right? Because when you have a phone can basically do some of these things, but it cannot do it as good as probably a camera can with all this setup. And I had no understanding of lights and setup and all of these things, right? And literally, the director said, how about I come in and I actually do this for you? And I said, you know what, that actually makes sense. Because it is, even though I have an alternative to doing that, it was a better or my best alternative. Because this is somebody who, going back to all the things you mentioned, this is someone who I trust has shown some level of expertise in the field. And I was like, okay, this person might know how to do this thing or knows how to do this thing definitely. And so I said to myself, this is my best alternative. The next thing I'll explain, right? You see how alternatives interplay with other factors. But when I looked at what she presented, I said, okay, that makes sense. Like, this is a good offer, right? I don't want to use the word offer because people are like, oh, what's an offer, what's an offer? But I felt like this was a good offer. And so I'm saying this to say that if you're going to get people to pay you money, you have to present what you offer in such a way that it is the best alternatives. Meaning it's the best alternative to them doing nothing. It is the best alternative to them doing it by themselves. It is the best alternative to them going for probably somebody else. Those are your competitors. Doing nothing, doing it by themselves, or somebody else. That means that you need to know your landscape. You need to know the people in your industry who are offering the same things and find out what area, what angle, what service do you do better, and make your sales argument based on that. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to share with you exactly how to do that in other videos. But for the sake of brevity, I want to keep this as simple as possible. All right. So people will buy from you easily if you're the best alternative. Look, if you want to get a product from the guy down the street, or you want to go to Walmart, right? There's a drive away. If you can get it easily from the guy down the street, you would be silly to go to Walmart, except you don't trust the guy down the street. It's more expensive and you definitely feel like Walmart will be better off, will make a better offer. In that case, Walmart is your best offer. Does this make sense, guys? Because if it doesn't, like, let me know in the comment section, because I'm just talking to a camera, right? I prefer to talk these things with my students. But that's number 4. And now, finally, number 5. People will buy from you if they believe the perceived risk to buying from you is low. In fact, that is even the reason why they get on sales calls. Think about it for a moment. The risk associated with a $5 purchase versus the risk associated with a $5,000 purchase are not the same. The risk associated with a $5,000 purchase and the risk associated with a $500,000 purchase are not the same. For a $5 purchase, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? They're down $5, right? A $5,000 purchase for a lot of people, it's a lot of money. It's a significant amount of money. So people will buy easily from you if they believe they can risk it. And that's why we mentioned trust earlier, because trust is one of the things that help lowers the perceived risk for what it is you're selling. The stronger brand you have, or like all these things are things that help people believe that, okay, the risk associated with this is much lower, and so therefore I can take a bet on it. Because ultimately people are, except they purchased from you before and then they're coming again to purchase, ultimately everybody is taking a risk of some sort. And so that is why they're getting on the sales call with you in the first place. What this means is that if you want somebody to pay you eventually $5,000, sometimes it might be better, especially if you're starting out, especially if you're, from, let's say, a place where a low trust society like I am from, it might make sense to start out with something smaller. $500 instead of your service for $5,000. It doesn't mean they won't pay you the $5,000. You might say, you know what, let us try it out for $500. If you love it, fine, we can make the full payment. If you don't love it, the only thing you get to risk is $500. That is a much better offer than actually going all the way to $5,000, especially, like I said, if you're beginning, you don't have all these things in place. If you have all these things in place, then those things already prove to people that they can take a bet on you, because you can show them that other people have taken a bet on you. Those are the 5 things. Number 1, want. Number 2, trust. Number 3, strong desire. Number 4, better alternative or best alternative. Number 5, risk. Low or perceived lower risk. Now, it's important to note that I didn't mention anything like price. Because here's the truth. People think that price is the most important thing, and so there's a race to the bottom. They want to charge as low as possible. But anybody who's done business for even a minute will know that you don't win by being the lowest priced person in the market. No. Because if you check all these boxes, you have something that people want, they trust you because you have all the elements of trust, right? They have some sort of urgent pain, a strong desire associated with what it is you have to offer, all right? And what you offer is the best possible alternative for them. And number 5 is that the risk associated with buying from you at that time, all of that, if all of these are checked, I guarantee you that people will find the money. Most people will find the money, especially if you're talking to the right people. Most people will find the money. So I want you to disabuse your mind from the fact that, oh, I need to be the cheapest. I'm only going to compete on price. If you're competing on price, you're not really running a business. That being said, if you actually do all the things that I've shared here, you follow the checklist and you implement all these things in your sales call, it doesn't guarantee that every single person you talk to will buy. It's as stupid as thinking, because I'm a hot boy, right? Every single girl I talk to will fall for me. Even if you're the finest person, I don't care if you're Will freaking Smith. I don't care if you're, I don't know who the latest hot guy. Who are the hot guys now in our? I mean, ask the girl. Who are the hot artists? Pretending that I don't know. So if you're the hottest actor, celebrity, it doesn't mean every single girl will fall in love with you or want to date you. It's just how it is. So even if your offer is the hottest thing, some people will still say no, even if you make everything right. And that's fine. No, it's fine, right? So I hope this was able to offer some sort of value, insight into helping you sell your own products or services at premium prices instead of being priced like, cheaply. And if it did, please leave a comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to somebody who you think needs it, because it's when you do it like this that it helps this channel grow. All right, see you next video.